Hi, everyone. Please excuse this monologue. I have to apologize to Carly. I'm sorry the video file got corrupted. Cool thing was I had the audio file since it was separate, and so that created a scenario where I had to be just creative in a different way. But once again, I do apologize, Carly, and I still think you guys will enjoy the interview. Thank you. This is Dan from the Little Gallery in San Bernardino, here today with Carly Lake. Hello, Carly.
Hi, Dan. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, not a problem. Thank you for giving us the time to do this. This is really awesome, kind of hearing your thoughts and all.
Yeah,
So,
I hope I have something to tell you. No, I'm just
right on. uh,
kidding.
see, when at the Little Gallery, when was your most recent showcase?
It was all about a year ago now.
Okay.
In yeah, early August or mid-August, and we celebrated their year anniversary being open,
Oh, cool.
and it was the Textile Show with a few other artists that were all working in fibers.
Got you. That's what's up. Huh? Is it? Was it like a group show?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Got you. And
Yeah.
were you all collaborating with each other, or was it kind of more? It was a group show, but individually, you guys were producing work.
Yeah, individual. I produced insulation for their windows,
Okay.
and I dyed different fabrics with plants and then wove them through the bars of the windows.
Got you. That's really cool. That is really
Thank
cool. That
you.
was before I transferred into San Bernardino last fall, so I wasn't able to see that. That would have been cool.
We'll
Ever
get some
since I got
photos.
into. Yeah, right. If you could send some over, I think that'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah, I can definitely send you some. I just don't have them right now, but later
Okay,
on.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure, sure, sure. Well,
Yeah.
right on. Cool. Just kind of briefly tell me, like, how did that feel? Especially, it sounded like it coincided with the celebration of the 1 year anniversary of the little gallery. Uh,
Mhm.
how did that feel?
Mm. It was really special because a lot of work has been highlighted there over the past year, and it's all been really local artists, which you know deserve to be highlighted and deserve to be getting their names out there. But San Bernardino gets kind of forgotten, and so I just was really grateful to be a part of the show, even though I'm not from San Bernardino. I'm from the San Gabriel Valley, and
Okay.
even so, sometimes you feel kind of like culturally blocked out from what's going on in LA, and trying to get your name out there, trying to break into different scenes within the art world. So I felt proud to be represented in the Inland Empire and feel like there's lots of community going on there and lots of voices to be heard.
Got
So,
you.
yeah,
Right
so it was
on.
just really, it was really beautiful. It was a beautiful opening with, um, like you said before, you went to an event down there with lots of music and just lots of socializing and really meaningful conversations.
You have a point there. One, trying to navigate the different, the different, how'd you put it, like the different art culture or of an area, like LA
Mhm.
versus San Bernardino versus Orange County. Just trying to navigate all that and trying to just kind of make your way. But also, you hit something as in like San Bernardino. We know LA has an art scene for sure. Orange County has one. Uh, San Bernardino, that's something to kind of fill in within the art scene. Like I said, prior to me going to San Bernardino and exploring the area more than ever before,
Mhm.
I started finding that out that downtown San Bernardino was having these art events, and they were pretty cool. So yeah, that's right on that. You got to participate in that. and that the little gallery gives a platform for artists from that area that don't really see that don't get exposure like in other areas.
Yeah.
You know?
And they feel like, because there's not a lot of venues to have a platform out there, they feel like they have to either move away or, move closer to LA or something to really be an artist. When, there's artists everywhere. There's people that have that compulsion to create everywhere. And so it's really awesome. It's really unique that the little gallery had the confidence to open this gallery in downtown, and to just be like, yeah, we're gonna do it. We're gonna offer this to our community. We know that there's amazing artists out here, and so it's nice to see people flocking there.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, confidence definitely good for the little gallery, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But and kind of drifting away from that, let's go ahead and tell me a little bit about any current projects that you've been working on. Go ahead, tell me about them.
I just finished a picture book that's going to be out in September.
Right on.
So
Kudos.
thank you. Yeah. It's the first picture book that I've illustrated, and that's been one of my dreams in life to do and to continue doing. So I'm very excited to create different programming around it, and get to interact with people and go read the book and share it, far and wide.
Yeah, that's really like I said, that is really cool. What inspires you to make this photo book, correct? Or is it a picture book?
Well, it's a children's book.
Okay.
That's another word for children's book. The fact that it's mainly illustrations and full page illustrations throughout the book.
Right
So
on.
the story is a Tongva creation story. So the original inhabitants of Los Angeles area into Orange County, Catalina Island. I met one of my professors at Cal State Long Beach who had written this story, and she's Tongva. And she happened to tell me about it, wanted someone to illustrate it. So we started collaborating on it back when I was still in school.
Mm-hmm.
And now 5 or 6 years later, we have it published with Heyday Books. And so it's extra special in that way that it's a origin story from a native own voice narrative, and I got to illustrate a lot of animals and plants, which is my dream. So
Yeah,
we're
right.
really excited to get it out there and hopefully get it in, in with different museums and schools to share the California stories.
Yeah, that's for sure. That is the first time I'm hearing about the Tongba,
Tongva.
Tongba, right?
Tongva, yeah.
Okay, I think I'm
Yeah,
pronouncing it right.
sometimes they're more referred to as Gabrielino.
Okay, I've heard that, but that's
Yeah,
like the Tongba is their actual native name, correct?
yeah,
That's
yeah.
really cool. A lengthy process for sure, 6 years, but that
Mm-hmm.
kind of goes to show you, even still, uh, with artwork, sometimes artwork could be a couple months, sometimes it could be a couple years. As long as it gets done, that's really awesome. And as well as what you're telling me about the story, I mean, I've heard Gabrielino, right?
Yeah,
Never heard them. Never heard Tongva associated with them, and I really don't know any of the backstory of so that's really interesting. Do you know when? Now I'm assuming, is it self published or is it through a publisher?
no, it's through a publisher. They're out of Berkeley, and they're
Okay,
called Heyday
okay.
Books.
Heyday, right on. Is
Yeah, and they
there?
focus on California stories, whether it's science, history, or narratives, fiction. Yeah.
Yeah. How was that whole process finding a publisher that will, I guess, accept your story, right? Isn't that from what I've
Mm.
heard from the grapevine? That's kind of how it goes. Is that?
Yeah, yeah. So most likely, people will present a story. They'll submit a story to a publisher. They won't have an illustrator yet. The publisher might find the illustrator and then, team them up. Um, but we actually had a lot of the book already done. And so we got lucky, I guess you could say, in that I had already illustrated most of the book and they still wanted to publish it. Sometimes they don't like that because sometimes publishers won't prefer it because they want to work with you throughout the whole process. But I
Gotcha.
think they saw that it was a really special story, that there's really not a lot of Tongva stories and books out there, even though Los Angeles is such a populated area. Like you said, you had never heard of Tongva. Um, so we're hoping that this brings more awareness.
That's for sure. Yeah. That is for sure. Now your part in the story, you say you did the illustrations. I'm assuming
Mhm.
you're a professor from Long Beach. You did the written part of the
Yeah,
story.
yeah, she's the author.
How was did you find it difficult when you were reading like what she was writing to come up with illustrations? How did you guys come together to create the illustrations that you created that so that it would go hand in hand with the story?
We had a lot of, coffee time together, just conversating, chatting about it, talking about symbolism. But she gave me a lot of free reign with what I wanted to do. She wasn't too overbearing or anything. But I could at least get a feel from her what type of metaphors she might want, within. Okay, what kind of color should we use to represent the creator of the universe? uh that's a big undertaking, so I wanted to know her cultural perspective on that, and so we included that into the book. And then after I finished sketches, I showed them to her. Like I said, throughout this early stage, there was no publisher, so we didn't have to worry about that. We just were back and forth, having a good time, trying to make something really awesome, and then finally contacted a publisher that
After
felt.
all the coffee sessions, right? You guys enjoyed the
Yeah, we're
coffee.
all
They're
jacked
like,
up.
"Yo, publisher, right
Let's
on."
do it.
Well, that's really cool. Sounds like a good process for both you guys. It sounds exciting that to hear this story being printed. Do you have a? Did the publisher give you a print date
Yeah, the
or
publication date is September 9th.
September 9th, right? Is that
I
what you
think
said?
that's
Okay.
it's around there.
Okay, cool. We'll keep an eye out for it. I'm sure you could notify us too if that ever changes or anything like
Oh
that. That's
yeah.
really rad. Do you have any any samples, sketches of drawings from the book, or is that kind of kept on the DL?
And I'm able to share it. I don't have it with me. I'm not at my house right now. I'm watching someone's house, so it slipped my mind to bring it, but I can send you things as well later.
Right on. Yeah, that would be
And
really
I'm
cool.
thinking of making a video to explain some of that process and show some of the preliminary sketches and things like that.
Right on. Sounds like another project. Definitely got to keep us informed with that. That'll be
Cool, yeah.
really cool to hear, have an update, see what you continue to do. Outside of that book, are
Mhm.
you working on any other projects, personal projects, stemming from your creative imagination?
Yeah, I've been working on making some larger watercolor paintings. They're inspired by Freeways. And I've actually been taking a lot of photos while I'm on the freeway. I know I shouldn't say that, but it's become a part of my process to make these paintings. And I keep my eyes on the road, but I just kind of like click away when I'm driving through under overpasses and things like that. It's just like you're changing the station on the radio. I'm just like, click, click, click,
Yeah,
click.
that's
Okay,
true.
I got a bunch of different angles.
They say keep your eyes on the road. So as long as you're doing that, that's pretty good.
Yeah. It's like, you're taking a sip of water or something. So I try to do it as safe as possible. But I can't help myself. I really, it's been stemming from thinking about how where you're living has transformed over time. And I got really interested in learning about the creation of the freeways and how it created different borders and different kind of a cultural revolution within the Los Angeles area.
How so?
Well, people started to be able to travel, further places, work more in downtown, and then as there was more people able to drive into downtown to work, then they were able to also spread out. And that's how we have all these different neighborhoods just branching out from the inner city.
Got you.
But it also created different borders within different cities, because you actually have these huge walls, like
that's true.
This kind of like giant monuments within your city that blocks you from interacting with other cities around you in the same way as it was before. And you're able to kind of like pass over areas. So you never have to actually drive through those areas, but you can go from, Long Beach, pass through Compton and wherever, all the way to Pasadena, plop yourself down. So that's interesting in a way, but I think I'm also more interested in how it shapes the landscape and the plants that grow around, and how we're interacting with that landscape or not able to interact with that landscape because of it's being a connection, the freeways being a connection point, but also creates limitations and borders.
Got you. Right on. That sounds like a. How did you get this interest in the freeway? Was it through that learning of kind of like you said, like the history and how it kind of shaped the landscape, culture, and all that?
Yeah, I came across a book at the Arcadia Library called LA Freeways, and it had these really awesome photographs. So I got visually drawn into it, and then I read, it was this whole essay about the history of the freeways, and then also how to think about them differently. Like, they're not necessarily a horrible thing. It's more nuanced than that, and we have a more nuanced relationship with them, and with big projects of engineering. And so I started noticing that I would get very upset and kind of depressed driving in traffic every day.
It's not fun.
As an artist, like, you gotta drive all around if you want to meet with people, get yourself out there. You're driving a lot. You're agreeing to do different projects across all the way to the other side of Los Angeles. So I wanted to also have a better relationship with that time and that space in my life that was taking up a lot of time.
Yeah.
So the paintings have been a way to, painting itself is my own therapy, but then it's also even deeper when I am coming to this subject, something that would make me very upset before, and trying to come to peace with it, because it's not going away.
Yes, that's for sure. It's like you said, you point out, that's a lot of travel time, especially in LA. When you look at it on a map, you're like, okay, get from one end of LA to another end of LA. That doesn't seem too bad. But then when you're actually in it, you're just like, okay, there's traffic, there's this, there's that, so that
Yeah,
can get a bit of a mental hardship, and I like how you're like, yo, like, I'm gonna inform myself of this, and through that act, you started learning how these freeways are actually pretty impactful.
mm-hmm. Thank you. Yeah.
That sounds pretty cool. That's a
Yeah,
really good way.
I think it's a way to stay sane, as art is, and I think for a lot of artists, and it's a way to interpret where the spaces that you're moving through. When you're in the car, you can really, if you're in traffic, let's say, you are forced to slow down and be in that physical environment that you're in and take it in. It's still, you still don't have a lot of time to really soak it in visually, but that's where the paintings are kind of a even more slowed down version. And then I've been, they're not just really landscape paintings, but they have more of a surreal aspect to them.
Oh, cool.
I'm
Also, like,
including,
uh-huh.
yeah. What was that?
Yeah. How are you creating this surreal feel to it? Like, is it through color? Is it through distortion?
Color, yes, a little bit of distortion. I might be stretching things here and there. But also I want to also include a human element and the human form. So that's interacting with these overpasses and these archways. And
Is there trying to incorporate that human form, human figure? Is there a bit of a difficulty with that you're finding?
mm, um not so much, no.
Right on.
um yeah.
I think mainly because my medium that I work with is photography, videography. I did take a figure drawing class, was super hard. I took a painting class, but a lot of it was just uh, there was other better painters than I was. Let's just put it at that, But definitely, I already had an appreciation for painters, for people that could draw, illustrators. Right? I was like, yeah, dude, that's super cool. If I could they could produce that. But even
Yeah.
more so, going through the action, sitting there in figure drawing class. I had to take figure drawing class twice because I was just like, dude. No, I don't know. I even told the professor, I was like, "Hey, man, so I need this for my degree. I just want to take pictures." And
Yeah.
he was super cool. But like I said, I was just like, "Yeah, it's okay if I fail. Like, I'm still gonna continue with the class. I'm gonna retake it because I need to. So I'd rather have as much practice as I could get. So when I retook it, I had a better experience. But through at least I got a better grade. Through that experience, it definitely heightened my appreciation for people such as yourself that do watercolor, that illustrate, that I'm pretty sure you dabble into all the other painting mediums, acrylic, oil. Uh,
I had to in school, yeah, but I definitely prefer watercolor now. I don't really
what,
touch anything else. But
what,
yeah, the human form is the hardest because everyone knows what it looks like, and you know exactly when it's drawn wrong, if you're
that's
trying
true.
to make it look right.
That's
So, but I like to stylize a little bit. So, but I've had a lot of practice as well with majoring in illustration, taking all the life drawing classes, being encouraged to draw from life on my own all the time. So now I can play around with it. But I think it's fun to kind of put human forms in with the more architectural, because there are certain similarities and like ways that the shapes can fit together to create a composition that's just fun to play with in itself.
Got you. That sounds pretty rad. Uh, that's for sure. Pretty
Thanks.
excited to see
It's fun.
how they come out. Are you stuck on like? Are you still? How many paintings have you done for that project? Is it still like the first in the first phase, first painting?
Yeah, it's pretty early on. I usually don't work in a series kind of way. So I'm trying to push myself to go deeper with it. So I've really only done about 4 paintings, and um some of them are a little more on the smaller side, which I'm trying to push myself to go bigger.
Right.
Um and I've done a lot of drawings though, and sketching, and just loose little roughs. So those are all there, and I can pick them up, and they're ready to go. They're ready to kind of fire me into the painting and get me started on it. And
Well,
then I
right.
have all of those photographs as well on my phone.
That's cool. So you have a lot of material to work with on this project, which is really awesome. And it could
Yeah.
definitely feel a series,
Yeah, just gotta sit down at the painting table.
just got to
You
do it,
know.
right? That's the
Yeah.
secret.
Yeah.
What about watercolor that has you enticed with this so much?
Oh, I really like the layering effects that you can do. Creates a different sense of light, and within the process, it gives me a lot of surprises as well. I don't always know how this one reddish orange is going to lay over this turquoise. I have an idea, but uh, yeah, I like the um, the little surprises that I have along the way with it.
Right on.
And yeah, and then I just like the way it moves too. I really don't like painting with acrylic because it's so stiff. So I love the fluidity of the watercolor.
Got you. Right on. Is there a, particular? Do you stick to like one company of
Mhm.
watercolors? Uh,
Yeah, I still buy a lot of student grade stuff because it's cheaper and it works fine for me. you
right
know,
on.
it's
Yeah.
like Winsor Newton. They have great products, but it's not too expensive.
Got you. Right on. Yeah. They, from what I remember, they've been around for quite some time now. If that's correct,
Yeah,
maybe 1800s, maybe before that. I don't know.
sure. Yeah, I don't know.
They've been around for a minute. I do
Yeah.
remember hearing about that. That's cool. Is there any other projects that you're doing?
There is something coming up. Just this week, I found out that me and two other of my art team, I guess you could say, we got accepted for this grant.
Yeah,
Um,
what's up?
so the grant is with LA County Arts and Culture, and they had asked an artist to come in, or art team, to reimagine the space where the Christopher Columbus statue was removed. I
Got
think
you.
it was maybe 2 years ago in downtown LA. So they wanted to have some kind of program to look at the space differently, to bring in something that um, calls on the narratives of the indigenous people. So me and my professor, who I did the picture book with, we also collaborated with another professor at Cal State Long Beach, who's the chair of anthropology, on a virtual reality film.
Right on.
And so that one is also another Tongva creation story that's being illustrated. So I got to do the virtual painting in the 360 space, and tell the story through that. And then Scott Wilson, he's the anthropology professor. He already knew how to create VR films, and so he edited it with some other students and put it together.
Right
And
on.
then my professor, Cindy Alvitre, she narrated the story for the film.
Got you. Right on. That's really cool. There's a lot of connections that are overlapping right there. That's for sure, especially for your book. And that's definitely a good way to present the book, as well as doing that space where the Christopher Columbus statue was at. That's really rad. So, is it? Have you
Yeah,
guys
we're
figured?
excited.
Yeah, hell, I would be too. I mean, come on, that's sick. What? With that idea, what's brewing up there? Do you guys have like some type of an idea? Can you like disclose that or talk about that?
I think
Like a little
so.
bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be in October on Indigenous Peoples Day that we're going to have the event, and we're going to be showing the film, and then we're going to be doing a few readings of the picture book. So it's all going to center around stories, specifically Tongva Gabrielino stories. And I think we're also going to have some people singing there. Cindy has some friends who are Chumash, and yeah, that's going to be part of it.
Yeah, that's super rad. They're definitely them. Talking about the indigenous people are definitely had some, to put it lightly, had some tribulations. You know, so
Yeah.
I think that's really cool, especially for what Christopher Columbus means to them. The fact that now, I mean, yeah, they're taking down that statue, and what you guys are doing with the space now, because clearly having a statue of Christopher Columbus is connecting it to somewhere else rather than the indigenous people of the area, you know, especially
Right.
what happened when all that, it's like
Yeah.
interesting.
And it's not to degrade in any way what the Spanish culture or anything, but to understand that type of statue in a public space, it represents a certain era of conquest and disrespect for the indigenous people at the same time. So, how do we heal that history? It happened, it's there, and it's not to remove that history at all. It's to actually look at it fully and say, okay, do we really want this type of symbol in our public space? Or is there something else that we could do to tell that story of that time and that history in a new way that doesn't demean indigenous people, because they're still here and they are a part of that.
Yeah, just like you said, they're still here. They are a part of it. It's kind of like what's been going on with currently with our society, especially with the taking down of the Confederate statues. So there's conflict with that, but kind of how you point out, like, well, what does it mean, especially since now that we're in a current era, none of us was alive back then to ever voice our opinion, and now that we hear about these things, and then even with the light of the indigenous people talking about, well, this is what we actually went through, so and so, yeah, they're painted like this, but this is actually what really happened. It's like you said, it's a way to help those people to heal and to put more of a truth out there than mass
And I
medias.
think people have to keep in mind that there's other venues to have a Confederate statue, and you could put it in a museum that tells the story of the Civil War. It does, in a public space, it becomes more of like it's a glorified thing. And so I think we have to be aware of that sensation that you have when you're at a public space and you see this big statue. It does have a presence of this is a symbol of our society. This is what we believe in. This is a glorified person. So who do we want to glorify? Or my professor had a really good idea that I never thought of, was to not have it be a person at all. What if we had
True.
a statue that glorifies water, the importance of water, or
True.
something else, you know? So
Yeah.
that really sent me on a loop there.
Yeah, that's for sure. I definitely, first one thing that you said about putting a statue such as that, or such as what we're discussing, in a public space, right? Public space is public, it's for everyone. So when you do put, so that has to be taken into consideration. Because, like you said, say, you put a statue that maybe that in a public space that is degrading towards one social group, one human group, however you want to call it, when the space is actually supposed to be about all groups being able to come and use it. That's not really unifying, because, like you said, it does highlight as in, oh, well, this is what this area is about. It's kind of like not taking into consideration other perspectives as well. Uh, yeah, totally. I think that's super rad that you're involved in a project like that, and then converting that space to however you guys will do. So that'll be exciting to see.
Yeah, you're invited.
Yeah, right on. Thank you. For sure, for sure.
Yeah. And we'll be trying to sanitize the headsets and everything so that everyone can come and enjoy and feel comfortable.
Yeah, especially during
Feel
this
safe.
time. Yeah, for sure, for sure. It's kind of, how do you find that struggle as in trying to get your art, or trying to have people to view your art? How is, especially during, since we're under quarantine, outside of like the project with your team, have you found any issues with that?
Mm. Yeah, I mean, it slowed down my initiative to reach out to. I was kind of on a roll with going and trying to set up workshops to teach people different things with art, and then also to to look into other galleries that I could show my work at. So I think it's just finally giving me some time to actually make the work, like that Freeway series. It's giving me the time to really sit down with that and put in the work that needs to be made in order to express what I've been wanting to express and get out there.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
I think it's that this quarantine has told me to just settle down. You can't get too far ahead unless you actually keep producing and keep painting.
Yeah.
So that's been nice. Just giving myself a little, okay, take a
Yeah.
breather.
Yeah, it says, for sure, like galleries and all that are just trying to figure out how to navigate a society under since we're under quarantine. Um, Kind of like you said, it's interesting to hear your mentality, because it could go one of two ways. We're under quarantine, no gallery. How am I supposed to put on a show? If I make something, who's going to see my art? So those are questions that arise. And it sounds like you could either one, go somewhere like in the dark zone with that, or two, you could go into somewhere where it's a little bit more positive, a little bit more light, as in, okay, well, so what's going to slow down is the shows, the art exhibitions, and all that. So now I have time to develop and these ideas that you have. So I think that's really good. In case in the future, so once we're over all this, once we find once we need to do whatever it is we need to do to combat what we're experiencing, everything's going to go back to normal. But if something later down the line happens again, right? If something like this happens again, there's that mentality that's out there that you're sharing. And I think that's really strong. as into, not just giving into despair. You're just like, okay, I got to do this, I got to do that. So that's really awesome to share that.
Yeah. Well, I think that I struggle with it a lot, trying to balance, making an income within the art world, teaching, trying to sell my work, but then at the same time, actually making the work and making the things that I'm imagining there.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just something that is going to last forever, trying to balance having my own business and teaching and then actually producing. So
Yeah, very true.
this is just giving me a little extra push in that direction.
Well, right on. That is the appropriate mentality. I know I know. I kind of got into a little bit of a despair, and I was like, no, no, no. The moment that I
Oh
hit
yeah.
that, then it's like, then I'm going to be struggling with that. And it was like, I had to tell myself, no, I am not going to do that. I'm going to go down this other route, whether I like it or not. I was
Okay,
choosing
yeah.
the to be happy, choosing to see the light and just try to come up with ideas. So that's awesome that
Yeah.
you're right there as well too. Uh, cool.
I mean, do you feel like you've been more curious during these months, able to at least indulge in your curiosities, or you've just been focused in on one thing, one project?
Got you. So focusing on one project, no, I do tend to I have ADHD. So ever since I was a little kid, I was always had to have kind of multiple things to mess around with. Like going back to that reading thing, I wasn't a big reader, but there are a few book series that do stand out in my life. And I would read one book, then I'd get bored with it, like halfway through the book, so I'd start another book. Then
That's
I'd get
just
bored
like
with that
me.
one, and I'd be bouncing back and
Yeah.
forth.
Oh, I know.
So
It takes people are always like, "You're still reading that book?" Because I'm reading like 6 different books right now, and I only read a page a month. So I
exactly.
know. Yeah.
So that mentality has now crossed over to other projects, and
Mm.
as in the curiosity, I can't really, in my opinion, I can't really paint it like other people.
Mhm.
But I guess maybe I like to think so. So there are some curiosities where I want to incorporate painting uh, with my photography, with my videography, with things that I'm
Mm.
doing, and it's like that's where the curiosity comes and how I'm doing it. So that there are certain projects that I am working on. That I currently am working on. That the current one is having to do with like a collage as well as incorporating paint into the collage, and then
Mm.
I'm thinking of scanning it. So we'll see what happens with that idea, as well as I like to do sculptural. I like working with my hands, so.
Mhm.
I really got influenced by my 3D design class back when prior to transferring over to San Bernardino at
Mm.
Citrus College. So that's being a major influence, especially one of my projects. I want to say winter semester over at San Bernardino. I definitely ran off with that idea, and as well as I was able to incorporate videographers. I made a video out of it.
Oh,
So
cool.
to answer your question, yes, there are certain ideas that I am entertaining,
Yeah.
curiosities, as in what happens if I do this? I got this. Like right now, I'm trying to figure out how I could. Uh, our home just got renovated, so
Okay.
yeah, we were like in that whole prior to quarantine. Like I think we started December, November, and then it just kind of quarantine happened and we're like, well, we can't live in a house like this where the walls been gutted, we're exposing
Yeah.
all the framework of the house. So anyways, so they took down our power box, right? A power box unit on the
Oh.
outside. And so they put in a new one. So I kept it because I'm like, yo, if I could somehow get electricity into it, then maybe I could light up like a series of TVs, or maybe I could hook up
Oh,
like digital frames to it. So that's where like sculptural and even an
oh
installation
yeah.
idea started coming through.
That sounds
So
really awesome.
yeah, that's why I like to hear how what you're saying is in the quarantine really helped you to, or at least during quarantine time, you're having these ideas developing. I think that's very positive to hear for other artists that may be like stuck in that. Well, what's the point of making work? Like, how is it going to be showcased?
Oh,
Like either
that's
now
really
or
cool.
later. It's going to happen.
Luckily, I've never cared too much, maybe not enough about showing. And that hasn't really been the motivation for making work for me.
Yeah,
I definitely like showing people and showing it off, but that's not inhibiting me from making it.
gotcha. Yeah.
But I find it interesting what you're saying of you said you might paint the collage and then scan it back in, like this transfer of the digital versus analog back and forth. I think that's really cool, and you should run with that.
Yeah,
And
thank
then
you.
like interacting these older technologies, or not, super modern technologies, or like the mundane power box on your house with some art video you make. That's so cool.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I'm excited. We'll see what my brain comes up with. You know.
Yeah, but I it seems like maybe school is helping you to open up those new pockets in your brain with like taking a sculpture class, even though you're a photographer. When I graduated from college, that was when I was really actually able to experiment and push into different curiosities and different materials, because I was just doing so much drawing and painting during school. But then I got into ceramics a little bit, tried that out for a couple of years. I started weaving, and then that led me into the natural dyeing process, which is what I did for the little gallery with that installation. So uh, definitely definitely gives you new layers within coming back to your original focus, like painting and whatnot. Um,
Yes, like you said, it does. It has been very influential. It, especially San Bernardino, more influential than what I thought. It's very conceptual, and I wasn't expecting that
mm,
from San Bernardino, because I was considering. I got conditionally accepted to Long Beach for spring 2020,
mm.
and so no 2019. I'm sorry, for spring 2019, right? Because no, we're in 2020.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it's fall 2019 is when I transferred. So spring 2020, I was conditionally accepted to Long Beach. But
Okay.
I stayed at San Bernardino because, in my opinion, I guess maybe for the way how my brain works or whatever the
Mm-hmm.
case may be, why I adhered so much to it, I was hearing a lot of strong concepts there. Even with
Mm-hmm.
talking with my classmates there, and the way how and some of their concepts for their projects. And I was just like, man, there's something here. So, like you said, school is definitely being influential. I decided to stay in San Bernardino, and I'm loving it. I'm loving what I'm learning from it. So I definitely agree. Those experiences are definitely being beneficial. It's not to say that one needs to go to college to uh, perfect their craft, whatever it may be,
Mm-hmm.
their art or whatever. But I think speaking with another artist, that there's a certain type of discipline there. Because I know, in my opinion, in my personal experience, I'll look up, like I say, lighting techniques, right? And I'm like, oh, okay, super cool. Okay, now I got to get these lights. Super cool. Let me Google these lights. Super cool. I need $200. Okay.
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
you get thrown into school, right? Or even like I said, you look up a technique even outside of school, and you're just like, all right, cool. Okay, so what are we gonna do now? Let's go play some Call of Duty. Let's go hang out with friends. Let's go to the bar, play some
That's
pool.
exactly what I say. Yeah.
And so school, you're there. You're thrown in the deep end, and it's just like swim, buddy. There's no time to
Mhm.
be like, all right, cool. I just read up on how to swim. All right, let's go eat, and then let's go back. And then maybe we'll like jump in and like practice it, or maybe we can practice it tomorrow. Hey, we're at school. You go lecture, right? You have an hour and a half to, then boom, lab time. So you're rushed into it
Yeah.
to not necessarily rushed into it, but you're pushed into exercising the lecture what you read, and so
Right.
I
Yeah.
think the discipline is there. That's not to say that one can't find that outside of school, but in my personal experience, it's been harder for me to have that discipline outside of school than it is uh, being at school. It was easier. I was already there. It's like, bro, like, what are you here for? You're not here for party. Like, yes, that's fun. Yes, there's that, but you're here for your career, your life, pretty much.
Mhm.
So that's where I think
Yeah.
school has been very influential. Uh,
Yeah, I think it's funny because it does give you a lot of discipline and it helps you. I think it helped me a lot to learn how to speak about artwork in general, and then how to speak about my own work and figure out what I'm doing, and what how these connections are being made. But also, you can have a dependency too on having someone else saying, okay, you need to get this project done by this next week. Then once you're out of school, no one's doing that for you. And if you
very
want to
true.
keep making your own personal work, you gotta figure out how to motivate yourself
Very
and
true.
keep yourself consistent. And I'm talking to myself too. It's something that I need to work on and be more disciplined because I have a day job. So and then I do freelance work as well, and so that doesn't leave a lot of time sometimes for my own personal work, and
What
I stay up late doing it.
yeah, you become a vampire, sort of say,
Yeah, no, I'm
staying
not a
up
vampire.
late. Your freelance work, what has if you could briefly tell me about that, like your opportunities that were given to you.
Yeah, I've done a little bit of editorial illustration for a few magazines and different institutions.
Right on. What
So
magazines, if you remember?
yeah, it hasn't been that many, but I did one for the alumni magazine at Cal State Long Beach
Right
with
on.
a few of their articles, and then also another magazine there they have called Quest, which
Got
is
you.
more of like it talks about a lot of the research that's going on there at the school.
Got you. Right on. It's kind of
Mm.
cool to work publications. I've had some experience with the Citrus College newspaper and the magazine
Mm.
over there,
Yeah.
and
So
then
you've done photography work for them.
yes.
Nice.
So that was really fun. First off, because I really like that
Mhm.
photojournalism. So I thought that
Yeah.
was really cool, which remains an influence in my work and in my ideas. I've also through some of those connections, working the publications at Citrus, specifically their magazine called the Logos magazine. A connection there also led to an opportunity or was a freelance work with this independent magazine called The Land magazine. So I got to photograph. I got to meet. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna butcher her name, but basically
Okay.
she's a
Details.
professor at Cal State Long Beach, and
Oh.
she's also either she's a co-founder or she is the founder for the Black Lives Matter LA chapter. Melina
Oh.
Abdullah, I think that's from what I remember. I think that's her name. I'm pretty sure. But that was cool. I got to go. I had to photograph her, so we photographed her in Cal State LA. So that was a fun experience, as well as connecting with her and then connecting with Ryan Garcia. He's a boxer out from Norwalk, or at least that's where I went to go photograph him. So that was pretty fun working with the
Yeah.
magazine. It's different grind. Got to meet with the writer. The writer was cool. So that's cool that you were able to do those freelance work in the publications.
Yeah, I would love to do more.
Right.
And then I've done some storyboarding too, for commercials and film.
Right on.
That's really fun because I just get to draw all day. So I love that. It's exhausting, but it's really great. And so
Any
those
commercials
are
that we
some
may have seen?
maybe there was one for this alarm system,
Oh, sure.
and then another one for a cannabis farm. It was
That's
more like a promotional mini documentary ad.
Which, in your opinion, which one did you feel was stronger, or were they both strong? Just had different, I guess, points to them. If you want to say.
I think I enjoyed the cannabis farm more because I got to draw more people in it.
Got you.
Whereas
Right
the
on.
other one was a lot of appliances and just rooms and houses. So
For when you do create your work, whether it be something personal or something that's commissioned, freelance work, yada yada, where do you find your inspiration? Is it the same or is it different?
I think in a lot of my personal work, it's interacting with the land, like my local area, going on hikes, learning about the ecosystem, the plants. I'm really into learning about native plants and their uses, and then just thinking in general about how things transform on the land, why they look a certain way, why is this here, why does the LA River look like that. So but in general the inspiration will be different across the board for freelance work.
Gotcha.
I think that the connecting factor with that is that I just love to draw and I love to paint, and that's at the core of it all. So whatever I'm soaking in around me it's probably the things that are the most interesting to draw, and they're catching my eye.
Well, right on. That's really cool.
The tough question.
That's really cool though to hear that. Even just to hear like how you explained it in the series of questions. Like you go on a hike and then you start asking yourself, oh, I wonder about this plant. Oh, I wonder about the LA River. Why is it like that? Then I don't know if maybe you find yourself researching those questions to find the answer, and then
Yeah.
material comes from that.
Yeah. It's like I might notice the form of something like, oh wow, look at that freeway overpass. That's really cool looking.
They
And then
really
get
are.
deeper into it with the history, and then I'll get into like, okay, what is this as a metaphor?
That's really
I
cool.
find that my work it really comes down to being metaphorical.
Right.
So if I show you some of my paintings, you might get a sense of that there's it's not really showing a real space. It might be pulling from real landscapes, and but
Sounds like
it's
there's an
altered.
abstraction right there.
Yeah.
A little bit of an abstraction. That's
Yeah.
yes. If you have pictures of any of that, definitely send them over.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you can cut them into the interview or something.
Right on. Yeah, for sure. That's we could definitely do that. I would love that.
Cool.
Well, thank you for letting us for allowing me to meet with you today, interviewing you, hearing your thoughts, hearing how your creative process is.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yours too. It's so nice talking. And I look forward to seeing all of the videos you're gonna make for the little gallery. It's gonna be so awesome.
Yeah, man. Hopefully, you'll see. I just like to create and go ask people, like, oh, what do you think? Are these people that I that I guess I respect, that have made an impact
Mm.
in me. So, but
Mhm.
yeah, I'm excited to for this project. So, but like I said, once again, thank you for allowing me to come interview you. Like I said, it was awesome. Like I say, hearing all the thoughts.
Thank you so much. It was really nice.